Democrats just put on a master class in cross-examination. And to make it even better, cross-examining MAGA Republicans in the Rules Committee. So before the continuing resolution comes to the floor for a vote, the Rules Committee does something called a markup. And during the markup process, the Democrats on the Rules Committee have the opportunity to cross-examine MAGA Republicans on the Rules Committee, and they get to call them up and they get to examine them on what's really going on here with this disastrous continuing resolution that will take so many Americans off of healthcare. Now, one of the best cross-examiners out there in the game, Democratic Congress member Joe Neguse, also Democratic Congress member McGovern, and they both were a cookin'. They both went to work, and they had these MAGA Republican Congress members shaking in their boots. Again, this was a masterclass. As a former trial attorney, chef's kiss is my review of this. Let me show you Democratic Congress member Neguse first. He's cross-examining here MAGA Republican Congress member Cole on the Rules Committee. And Neguse says, let me say this to you. You claim that Republicans were out there doing lots of work while MAGA Mike sent you on vacation. You said you were doing lots of work. Well, let's dig into it. Let's watch this.
Let's talk about the last 54 days. So the speaker, he said something that was fascinating. I thought it was a really interesting quote. If I can find it. Here we go. Yeah, that was interesting. So the quote is, House Republicans are doing some of the most meaningful work of their careers. They are in their districts. I don't want to pull them away from that. You agree with the speaker's comments?
I don't speak for the speaker, but I don't disagree with him. Look, we're waiting for
No. That's not the question. That's not the question. You answered it. You answered it.
I don't
Okay, so Chairman, it sounds like you're saying that you agree that with the speaker. Republican members were doing some of the most, quote, meaningful work of their careers during that 54 days. I assume you were here in Washington and back in Oklahoma?
Yeah.
Right? Did you have any in-person town halls?
No.
None. 54 days?
Did several teletown halls.
Teletown halls. But you've done in-person town halls before. I know that to be true. Mm-hmm. Why not? 54 days is a long time. Not one town hall?
Nope.
Did you visit any of the federal facilities?
Oh, I visited federal facilities. District? I've done multiple meetings with chambers of commerce, Rotary clubs. It's been highly visible.
I don't know if you heard my colleague, Ms. Fishbach. She took great umbrage at this notion that, that Republicans were somehow on vacation. Did you make it down to the Mar-a-Lago Halloween party?
No.
You didn't get the invitation to the Gatsby invite? No. I don't know. It would be interesting. I don't know if any of our colleagues here on the other side of the dais made it down there. It strikes me that it would be hard to describe the last 54 days, at least from what I've seen, as meaningful work on the part of my colleagues in the House Republican Conference. But, again, those are that's something you'll have to defend, and folks will defend to their constituents.
Told you he was good. Congressmember Neguse, he's been on the show a lot. Incredible cross-examination right there. Here's additional parts of that cross-examination where Congressmember Neguse examines Congressmember Cole and says, do realize that Steve Bannon and others in the Trump orbit are now referring to you as basically the Duma, the Russian Duma, who frankly have worked even more thus far than this House under MAGA Mike? Duma Mike, here, play this clip.
Couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
12 days sound about right?
Something like that.
I can represent to you that the House, since August 3rd, has been in session for a total of 12 days. I don't know if you're familiar with Steve Bannon. I suspect you are. Yes?
Never met him.
Never met him. You know of him.
If you read the newspapers, you know of him.
Yeah, it's not a trick question. You know Steve Bannon exists.
No,
all right.
Sir, I know who he is.
Okay, there was a report recently where Steve Bannon compared the U.S. Congress under Speaker Johnson to the Duma, allegedly. You think that's an apt comparison?
No, I don't.
No. Would it surprise you to know that the Duma has been in session longer this fall than the United States House of Representatives?
I don't know that the Duma sessions make very much difference.
Well, I'm not so sure they make much difference here, given the way in which Republicans are capitulating to every demand that President Trump makes. I think it is shameful that the House has been in session for 12 days since August 3rd. 54 days out of session. You cannot possibly, Chairman, you've been in Congress for some time. You can't possibly defend a 54-day recess, the second longest recess in the modern history of the Congress. You would defend that?
You should probably direct that sentiment toward the United States Senate.
The Senate decides when the House is in session?
No, if you'll let me finish my
Well, no,
point.
because I don't.
My point is, we sent a bill in plenty of time over to the Senate to keep the government open functioning. All these other issues you're concerned about could be addressed, could be debated.
Why not pass these bills?
Whatever.
Why not consider the bills on the floor?
But we're waiting for the Senate to get back.
Why wait?
The Senate has now finally acted.
Okay, Mr. Cole,
wasn't to the Republicans that kept it from acting.
I understand.
Okay,
you said that
that's
in
my
response
concern.
to Mr. McGovern. My question is, and this was what I think he was trying to glean from both you and the ranking member, there are plenty of appropriation bills that were passed out of committee. The House could have met the last week of September, any week in October, last week, yesterday, any time over the last 54 days. The House could be convened to consider these appropriation bills. John Thune doesn't get to decide when the House of Representatives is in session. Mike Johnson does. And I'm trying to understand from you why you've decided to take this position.
I
that
don't
essentially,
make these decisions.
I'll finish and then I'll let you answer.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Why you've taken this position that the House should effectively stay out of session. I mean, I guess this is your position, that if the government is shut down, the House of Representatives should not convene. Is that your position?
All right, now let me show you Democratic Congress member McGovern, the ranking member of the Rules Committee. Here's how he starts his cross-exam. Welcome back. How was your vacation, everybody? MAGA Republicans, here, play this clip.
Well, hello, Madam Chair. Welcome back. Hello. Long time no see. I hardly recognize you guys. Where the hell have you been? It's good to see you back back in the Capitol building. We've been looking everywhere for you guys. I mean, seriously, we were worried. We actually started handing out missing person posters. Nobody has seen you for 8 weeks. But hey, I'm glad that you're okay. I'm glad that you survived your nice 2-month paid vacation while Democrats stayed in Washington to try to end this shutdown.
Then he goes and says, none of you. Who wants to step up? None of you have a health care plan. I challenge you. Show me your plan. It doesn't exist. You're all liars. You're all frauds. Here, watch this.
You don't even have a health care plan. You've been promising one for over a decade, and we've never seen it because it doesn't exist. Or maybe it's simply just hiding behind the missing appropriation bills that this Republican majority hasn't passed. I don't know. But what I do know is this. Republicans have been in charge for 292 days. That's 292 days to do something, anything, to lower costs, to bring down prices, to make America more affordable, to do something about health care, tariffs, grocery prices, rent, or heating bills. And what did you do? You handed out tax breaks to billionaires and took the longest paid vacation in modern history.
And then he says, oh, you want to talk about the Affordable Care Act subsidies? McGovern says, you're subsidizing. You know who you're subsidizing? Argentina. You're literally subsidizing an entirely different country. You're subsidizing Javier Milei. Here, play this clip.
He shut down the airspace while regular travelers are stranded all over the country. The administration is funneling $40 billion to bail out Argentina. Republicans are literally subsidizing an entirely different country instead of keeping families in North Carolina or Minnesota or Texas or Indiana from going bankrupt if they face emergency hospital bills. And then giving your donors a fancy new ballroom at the White House while moms and dads can't afford to put food on the table. And speaking of putting food on the table, Trump illegally withheld food assistance from 42 million Americans, kids, veterans, seniors, working families. 2 federal court orders demanded that he pay out these benefits in full. But he would rather appeal to the highest court in the land to starve people out than to simply provide them with the food assistance that he is legally obligated to send to American families. Like, who does that? I mean, that's the Republican policy position. We'll give you your food if you let us take away your health care.
Then you had Democratic Congresswoman Ansari look at the MAGA Republicans on the Rules Committee, looked at Virginia Fox, who is the chair of that Rules Committee, and Congresswoman Ansari says, "Welcome back from your vacation," to which Virginia Fox freaks out and she's like, "I was working." Watch what goes down. Here's how it's done. Here's how you forcibly push back great work to Congresswoman Ansari. Let's play it.
Ms. Ansari, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Welcome back from your 8 weeks of taxpayer-funded vacation. It's good to see you, and I hope
I'm going to interrupt you.
Republicans
I'm going to
enjoy-
interrupt you, please. I am sick and tired of hearing you all say we had an 8-week vacation.
That's exactly what happened.
I worked every day. I don't know about you, but I don't want to
worked
hear
every single
another
day as
soul
well. We all worked
say that.
every single day, and that's exactly what happened with Speaker Mike Johnson.
You're recognized.
I hope that you all enjoyed yourselves while American families looked at their letters from their health insurance companies, terrified that their insurance premiums were going to double or triple while the House was out of session for 53 days. That is unacceptable, Madam Chair.
Okay, back to Democratic Congressmember Neguse ripping this MAGA Republican Congress member cold to shreds. You almost feel a little bad for that MAGA Republican, and then you go, no, I don't feel bad for this guy at all. He's a MAGA Republican who hates America and wants to see Americans die. So you go, I don't feel bad for you. Get him, Neguse. Go get him. And Congressmember Neguse does not disappoint. And he goes, okay, yeah, you've been here longer than I have, I guess. So let's talk about your experience, sir. Here, play this clip.
Is that a fair?
I am comfortable doing my job, and I've been here quite a bit, my friend.
I understand.
And working on these issues, quite frankly. But we didn't vote to shut down the government in the House.
Okay, you mentioned you've been here a long
and
time.
to be fair, my Senate colleagues didn't vote to shut down the government, and a majority of the United States Senate,
you've made that
including
position clear.
members from your party,
You've made your
did not
position
vote.
clear,
So
Mr. Cole.
I think the people that shut down the government
you said,
can take
you've made your
responsibility
position
for
clear.
shutting down
As
the
you
government.
said, you've been here a lot longer than I have, and that's certainly true. I haven't been here for long. I found an article. This is from 2007. You've been in Congress for some time. The headline, Cole, quote, "Now is not the time for a vacation," end quote. This is when Democrats had the majority in 2007. Congress must work through Memorial Day recess to produce a clean funding bill. U.S. Congressman Tom Cole today joined nearly every member of the Republican conference in sending a letter to then House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, calling her to keep the House in session until Congress sends then President Bush a clean funding bill that he will sign into law. This was effectively, I'll just say, the letter was sent to Speaker Pelosi 8 days before Congress is scheduled to adjourn for the Memorial Day recess. Legislative business is not scheduled to resume until June 5th. I mean, you all were clamoring, demanding that the Speaker reconvene the House and not take a 10-day recess. And now what? We're in week 8 and we're finally here? And you won't say a word of criticism about the Speaker's strategy in keeping all of us?
I reserve my criticism for the people that shut down the government of the United States.
I think
have
it is
kept
rich.
it shut down for 40-odd days.
I think
and
it
made
is-
sure SNAP recipients didn't get it.
I
made
think
sure
it's
people
rich.
didn't get paid. That's
Mr.
who
Chairman,
I
I think it's
criticize.
rich. Again, I would just simply say that if the shoe were on the other foot, I don't think, honestly, I don't think you would hesitate to call the Speaker's actions disgraceful, to keep us out of session for 54 days. But in any event, that's fine.
Delete Me makes it easy, quick, and safe to remove your personal data online at a time when surveillance and data breaches are common enough to make everyone vulnerable. Delete Me does all the hard work of wiping you and your family's personal information from hundreds of data broker websites. And they don't just do it once. Delete Me is always working for you, constantly monitoring and removing the personal information you don't want floating around the internet. As someone with a very active online presence, I know how important privacy is. I've seen firsthand how easy it is for your personal information, your address, phone number, even details about your family to end up online without your consent. Delete Me helps you take back that control. Take control of your data and keep your private life private by signing up for Delete Me, now at a special discount for our listeners. Get 20% off your Delete Me plan when you go to joindeleteme.com/Meidas and use promo code Meidas at checkout. The only way to get 20% off is to go to joindeleteme.com/Meidas and enter code Meidas at checkout. That's MEIDAS. That's joindeleteme.com/Meidas, code Meidas.
Now, Congress member Chip Roy tried to get a little chirpy in this hearing. Nagoose was not having it. He doesn't like Chirpy Roy. And he's like, listen up, Chirpy Roy. I'm going to read a quote from you. Here, play this clip.
Before I ask you some questions, I have to address some of the comments made by the gentleman from Texas. I'm just going to read a quote. And I do this because I actually don't think I could find a quote like this from Chairman Cole. So in some respects, although I disagree with much of his testimony, but he certainly has more clean hands than some of my other colleagues. Quote, let's not fund a government that's going to be exacting tyranny over our American brothers and sisters. Full length of the interview is available here, and some key quotes are below. This is from the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Roy's website, November of 2021. Should any Republican vote to fund an executive branch? In other words, should Article 1 Congress, which has the power of the purse as the founders gave us, should we give any dollars to the executive branch for President Biden to issue unconstitutional and unlawful mandates that are causing people to have to choose between their livelihoods and getting a vaccine which they don't want? Let's stand united. Let's not do what these 13 Republicans did last Friday and go side with Nancy Pelosi. Let's not fund a government that's going to be exacting tyranny over our American brothers and sisters. This is from Mr. Roy. Spare me. Hold on. No, Mr. Roy, it's my time. It's my time. You certainly made that clear with the chairwoman. Spare us. Mr. Cole, perhaps, I think, as I said, can have some clean hands to talk to us about this particular set of circumstances we find ourselves in. You cannot. There might be other colleagues of yours, I think, who might share Mr. Cole's worldview, but I don't know. I thought I've heard everything in Congress, but to hear my colleague from Texas, his indignation about the government shutdown as he instigated and tried to instigate shutdown after shutdown, just 3 years ago, 4 years ago. This isn't distant memory. In any event, I digress. Mr. Cole.
Back to Democratic Congress member McGovern here. He goes, this is when Chip Roy and others are like getting very angry and very passionate. And Congress member McGovern's like, all right, hold your horses there. Calm down. I wish you were this passionate about blocking $40 billion going to Argentina. Maybe you should be more supportive of America than Argentina, you idiot. Here, play this clip.
That's literally what they were saying. It's not a solution. That's just printing more money while trying to go run campaign ads while you shut the government down for very clearly and obviously political purposes. I yield back, Madam Chairman.
Madam Chair, I wish the gentleman had that passion condemning the $40 billion bailout of Argentina, the right-wing cuckoo clock in Argentina. I wish he had the passion to condemn that.
Mr. McGovern.
Right now, here was a moment, though, that I think I have to share with you. So Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries then says, you know what? Let me show you how it's done. I'm going to take the witness stand. Question me. I'm going to show you what it looks like when the facts, the people, transparency is on your side. Watch Congressmember McGovern then question Jeffries about the facts. And none of these MAGA Republicans on the committee even had the strength to try to cross-examine Leader Jeffries because they were too scared to do it. Here, play this clip.
If I could go back to the issue of health care, just for the record, I mean, has Speaker Johnson promised a vote to extend the ACA tax credits to either of you?
extraordinary that he hasn't indicated that there will be a vote one way or the other to address the Republican health care crisis. Now, our colleague from the great state of Georgia, Marjorie Taylor Greene, found it laughable that there's a Republican health care plan. She said she couldn't find it. She can't find it because it doesn't exist. Now, we know what the plan has been in the past. In terms of the Affordable Care Act, Republicans have tried to repeal it more than 70 times over the last 15 years. And so we are just trying to get our Republican colleagues to take yes for an answer. We've said repeatedly, let's find a bipartisan path forward. Let's reopen the government. Let's make life better for the American people. But let's address the healthcare crisis that our Republican colleagues have created, and we can start by extending the Affordable Care Act tax credits.
More from Leader Jeffries right here, who says, look, I get it. Trump's a very busy guy. He apparently has two jobs. One, he's doing whatever, building ballrooms. He loves building his ballrooms. Everybody's a great ballroom builder. And then the other is being the Speaker of the House because MAGA Mike is so feckless. Here, play this clip.
For 7+ weeks, House Republicans saw fit to be on a taxpayer-funded vacation, missing in action, part of the witness protection program, doing nothing to make life better for the American people. That's extraordinary. And you got to wonder whether this was an order that was given by Donald Trump, who apparently has said that he's got two jobs. He's both the president and the Speaker of the House. His words, not mine. Donald Trump apparently doesn't believe that there's an affordability crisis. Said it himself. There is no affordability crisis in the United States of America. That's what Donald Trump, top Republican in this country, says. So I guess it's no small wonder that the Republican chairman of the Appropriations Committee would say that there's nothing to do. Because Republicans apparently don't think that there are problems in this country that should be dealt with, such that the House of Representatives should be in session. But as Democrats, our view is that we've got to lower the high cost of living. We've got to make life more affordable for everyday Americans who are suffering under crushing Republican policies. Costs haven't gone down. That was the day one promise. Costs have gone up.
More from Leader Jeffries right here saying, let's test you. We will introduce an amendment right here, right now. Extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits for a year, 3 years. Let's do it. Show the American people that you care, and then let's negotiate. If you've got a plan, show the plan. But for now, let's just make this vote, extend the Affordable Care Act subsidies. Let's not take away health care from 20 million Americans. Please, here, play this clip.
And we're hopeful that our Republican colleagues will join us and abandon the reckless policies that you all have pursued in creating this Republican health care crisis, including but not limited to what Republicans did in your one big ugly bill, largest cut to Medicaid in American history, ripping health insurance away from at least 14 million people. Hospitals, nursing homes, and community-based health clinics all across the country, including in rural America, are closing because of Republican policies. And now, because of the refusal to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits, tens of millions of people are going to suffer, will be unable to see a doctor when they need one in every single community in this country. And so we respectfully urge all of our colleagues to support this amendment, to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits and support the American people.
Back to Democratic Congressmember Neguse. This is good, right? This is good stuff. Here he is talking about how the Republican senators snuck into this resolution a $500,000 payment for themselves because in frivolous fashion, they claimed that they were injured by special counsel Jack Smith issuing a subpoena that turned up their phone numbers, didn't wiretap them, didn't listen in on their calls, no eavesdropping, literally just their phone numbers in connection with making phone calls to the White House during the insurrection to build a timeline of what was going on. Just the phone number shows. But the Republican senators say if our numbers showed up, the DOJ needs to pay the Republican senators $500,000. I'm not making this up. That's literally in the legislation that they're paying, that the Republican senators, the age of Trump, man, grift, fraud, grift, fraud. It's like a boat. Grift, fraud, grift, fraud, grift, fraud. I'm not sure what boat that is, but here, play this clip.
Far from haranguing the chairman, I'm given the opportunity for the chairman to explain the meaningful work that he's been engaged in, and I suspect that he welcomes and relishes that. So I want to talk to you about the provision that my colleague from Pennsylvania noted earlier. And this is the provision that essentially allows specifically 8 Republican United States senators to reap upwards of a $500,000 payday with respect to the phone record notice provision that they've added into the bill. You support that provision?
I didn't have anything to do with it, didn't have any knowledge of it.
Not asking if you have knowledge of it. Do you support it?
Yeah. Do I support the bill? Yes. Do I support every single provision of the bill? No.
You don't find this provision repugnant? I think most American people are going to find this pretty repugnant.
I was surprised to see it in the bill. I was unaware of it. It was not.
Why not work with us to remove it?
Right. Let's see what you do.
Well, we've got an amendment.
I will tell you this. I am very concerned, and actually Democratic senators said this. I think particularly of Senator Coons. I am very concerned that anybody, whether they're in the House or the Senate, is singled out and not notified that their records are being subpoenaed. That concerns me a great deal.
And does that justify?
Now, did I know about this provision in the bill? No. Do I think it needs to be in a funding bill? Not particularly. But do I think getting the governments open is important? Yes, I do. But I was unaware of the provision, so.
Well, there's an amendment that will be introduced I'm not asking a question. Mr. Chairman, not asking you a question. Let me finish my statement, and then you'll have an opportunity. There will be an amendment proposed to remove what I think is a deeply insidious provision. I think it is outrageous for these Republican senators to effectively guarantee themselves $1 million paydays. Retroactive provision in this bill that very clearly applies to them. The removal of all relevant immunity defenses on the part of the United States government. This is insanity to allow this provision to go forward. And I would hope that my Republican colleagues would join us in supporting the removal of this provision. At a minimum, we ought to be able to find common ground on that. So with that, Madam Chair, I yield back.
Then finally, Leader Jeffries talks about that $40 billion Trump sent to Argentina. I guess it's Argentina first. And I guess, by the way, it's other countries first, because I've been showing this video and I'm sure you've seen it now. It's gone ultra viral. We did lots of videos on it where Trump says that American workers, that USA workers, people here in America, do not have the talent to work high-skilled jobs. Thus, we need H-1B visas. We shouldn't even be training Americans because Americans just don't have the talent. What Trump told Laura Ingraham, just word for word is what he said. And she's like, what? Like, we don't have the talent? Yes, what do you mean? It's like, nope, you don't. We don't have the talent. Anyway, watch Jeffries. Close it out, Jeffries. Let's do it.
During the longest shutdown in American history, the Trump Republican shutdown, what we've seen repeatedly from our Republican colleagues who here in the House were on a taxpayer-funded vacation for more than 7 weeks, welcome back, is that Donald Trump has done everything but try to actually make life better for the American people. He somehow has found $40 billion to bail out his right-wing wannabe dictator buddy in Argentina, putting Argentina first, but not the American people first. And so Whip Clark and myself, on behalf of the House Democratic Caucus, believe that this amendment to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits for tens of millions of hardworking American taxpayers is actually designed to put the American people first.
There you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million subscribers. Thanks for watching.
New Meidas merch. Head to store.MeidasTouch.com today and get yourself the best pro-democracy gear and show your support. That's store.MeidasTouch.com.